Hi, my gorgeous little friends. It is Laura Patricia Martin. I am your internet IBS, anxiety, and trauma specialist, and I have had the wildest conversations today. I feel like my heart is literally going to just explode. Hello, Tamara. Hello. As you're coming on, say hi. I love to get to know you guys' actual names. I know sometimes the gibberish and the things on the internet and the handles, I always get so confused. So say hello as you're coming on. Today, I want to talk about kind of expanding on more of what trauma-informed nutrition is, because it seems to be the theme of the podcast interviews I've had today, and how it's not widely discussed, and like how I came up with the methods that we teach inside of Maven's Metabolism and really that background, so you can get better informed about it, right? At the end of the day, if we are investing in things, time, money, things like that, we want to know what's going on. But what drives me absolutely bonkers about this industry when it comes to gut health and it comes to nutrition is the lack of trauma knowledge, right? The misunderstandings, the misconfusion. And so when you look at gut health, it's often seen of, let me eliminate this, let me take these medicines, let me take these supplements, let me do some biohacking, let me follow these very strict regimens. And if I fall off that wagon, holy ravioli, everything is doomed. And it's just not true, right? And really what that does is create this fight or flight response in our body. We get terrified. We get terrified that if I eat the wrong thing, that if I drink the wrong thing, that if my food combination isn't right, if I miss a supplement, my body is going to go against me. And the reason I loathe this approach is because it doesn't take into consideration the human, and it doesn't actually take into consideration science. You know, all these things are hunky-dory. It's not like I love to experiment on myself and try different things, and you know, that's how I got here. But really the big thing is, if you don't feel safe and you're constantly worrying that you're gonna fuck it up and that you're gonna, you know, lose everything you know, love, and trust, is that really something you can stick with? Is that really something that's gonna happen and you can consistently show up for? Not really, because our gut and our brain are in constant communication with each other, right? So if your brain is in fight or flight and she's stressing about the food you ate, what's gonna happen after this? The thing that happened at work. Is there onions in this? Did I call my mom? Fuck that guy. Like this constant thing going on in our brain, our digestion isn't gonna be functioning optimally. And we're so gung-ho focused on eliminating more foods to fix it, but we're obsessing about it and we're stuck in this. And so our gut and our brain are in constant communication through this thing called the gut-brain axis, right? It's our vagus nerve, it's our longest cranial nerve. If you want to dive more into this, go search polyvagal theory on Google, and really understanding that our gut and our brain, like this vagus nerve, controls everything about us. So it gives off these things called action potentials. It tells our heart to beat, our food to digest, our lungs to breathe, our organs to function optimally, our brain to really start to, you know, think and optimize things. And so if that isn't working, if our vagus nerve isn't giving off the right directions, or isn't giving off the right information, our organs are going to have to overwork themselves, and ultimately they like eat themselves, they overproduce, they don't get enough of the right nutrients. It's this whole thing that starts to happen. Hey, I haven't seen you in so long. And they start to overproduce. And so when we are running around and kind of doing these whole elimination diets and restrictions and things like that, we're actually, yes, they can be helpful at managing, but we also have to be really addressing the root cause as to, one, do we have infections and things like that? Like, we got to dive into that and really look at it. But then two, when it comes to IBS and it comes to these kind of things, we really have to look at, are there deeper things that are keeping us in fight or flight? Most often it's the disordered relationship with food, at least with the women that I work with. And so when this gut-brain connection is thrown off and we're very overstimulated and we have, you know, trauma in the back pocket of ours, our vagus nerve will be overstimulated to the point that it just shuts down. And so she's not giving off these anti-inflammatory compounds, she's not communicating to their survival organs, and this whole surplus of symptoms start to arise. Does this make sense? I know I'm kind of rambling, but I just want to jump on here and explain it. And why this is what we look at inside of Mavens, right? Because it's so much more than, and if you're in my world, it's probably because you've done all the elimination diets, you've done all the restrictions, you've tried all the supplements, you've done all the things, and nothing's working. And the problem is that we've done too much. We forget how to be a human. We forget to have a conversation with our body. And yes, there is certain things we have to do. There's structures, there's strategies, there's certain nutrients we have to be consuming so that we can replenish the organs. Because when we replenish the organs, they start to get that internal thermostat back into place so that the thyroid starts to function again, the adrenals start to function again, you know, our organs, our pancreas, our liver, they start doing the right stuff again. And then this nerve starts to breathe. It starts to activate. It starts doing what she's supposed to be doing, and the whole body then gets into balance. You know, on the interview that I was having today, like the biggest thing that I was talking about is just, you know, it's your therapist's job to go back and look at your trauma. You know, because a lot of people, they think like, oh, like, got troubles and trauma, like what? But it's your therapist's job to go look back at the trauma, right? And dissect that and your relationship to food and who you learned that from, and starting to break this all down. But it's my job, it's a coach's job, it's a mentor job to get you into safety in the present moment so that you can build resiliency for the future. Because at the end of the day, it's not so much about what happened to you, it's what's happening to you now. Right? How do we get us into a safe space around food? How do we eat normally again? How do we have the relationships and the conversations and the environments and the things that we desire? How do we rebuild that again in a space that is trustworthy? Right? And so these are the things that we work through, because I know I pulled you guys over on Healing to Happy the other day of just like, what are your biggest things that IBS and anxiety are getting in the way of? And the biggest one was relationships and social settings. And I get you because it was you, that's how I created this thing. But it's because we give it this, I need to cut out all of these foods, I need to obsess about this stuff, I need to make sure I get it perfect. And in the process of getting it perfect, I'm losing the parts of me that I love the most. And so how do we reframe that? How do we start to build this trust again? And this is why trauma-informed nutrition needs to fucking happen. It needs to happen. Because when you go on Google and you start searching IBS and you start searching food sensitivities and you start searching these areas of work like we all do when we get diagnosed, and it comes back with all the things we have to eliminate and cut out, we come into this space of fear. And when we're in a space of fear, we're in a space of lack, our body is stuck in fight or flight. It doesn't matter how clean your diet is. It doesn't matter how banging your supplement routine is and how well you're doing these things, because your body doesn't feel safe, so she's not absorbing that stuff anyways. And this is why we get stuck in this hamster wheel, as one of my lovely clients said, this hamster wheel of shit. Because there is no getting out of it if the body is constantly stuck in this spiral of not feeling safe. You know, and it goes deeper than just let me meditate or let me do the shadow work or let me, you know, go to therapy. Those things are all fucking amazing. I love them so much. But there's nutritionally things that need to be implemented into the body so that she supported. Right? Like balancing the metabolism, recalibrating the gut-brain connection, balancing blood sugar levels, things like that, so that we can actually sustain healing trauma. So we can actually sustain going and revisiting these things. This is why when I work with, you know, my visionary leaders, it's so common that we're so focused on healing the mind and doing, you know, the energy work, but we forget about the human shell and how she needs to be healthy to get us there. And it's okay if that's where you're at, if that's something that has happened, because I did it too. I feel like we all do it. We go one extreme to the other, and it's really, how do we find this balance? How do we find this neutrality? And I shared that on the story the other day because I feel like, and I call myself out for this, I feel like all I do is show my play. And it took a while to get there. I now see my clients collapsing time and doing that in 3 weeks. But it took time to get there. But also that's not all I do, right? Like I drink my herbal teas, I get enough rest, I do a lot of it getting my body safe. I don't know why I picked those two examples, like that's gonna do anything, but like I focus on my nutrition, my metabolism is up to date. Like I took my temperature for months trying to get my metabolism back up. It took me 6.5 years to get my period back and my cycle back. Like I have worked through a lot of things, you know, and I wish I could deliver that all in just one Instagram live or one feed and one post, but it does take putting 2 feet in on our healing. You know, I shared the story yesterday on my Healing to Happy page about how like I ghosted my first coach and like I get scared of the evolution, and like even now when I'm putting 2 feet in, the what ifs start to creep in. Like what if this doesn't work? What if I fuck it up? What if I'm not disciplined enough? What if this vacation messes it up? What if, like we miss out on so much life because we get stuck in these what if battles with ourselves. And all that's doing is taking us out of the present moment and getting us scared and, you know, preventing us from actually healing our bodies and having that access. And it's like, we have to be able to sit down and ask and have the conversation with ourselves. Like, how much more of my life can I miss out feeling this way? Like, am I going to keep trying to do these quick fixes, which is all elimination diets are, which is all, you know, fasting and colonics and, you know, all these supplements and biohacking and things like that. Like they're fine to play with, but they're not a solution to the problem. They're not, like biohacking and things did not heal my metabolism. They actually fucked it up, whereas fasting fucked it up, whereas low carb fucked it up, whereas low FODMAP fucked it up, whereas like we do these things and it's okay to try things and be wrong. Like that's how we start to succeed. But it's understanding like it does take certain things to get us in that arena. It's not just one thing. And I wish people talked about that more. Like it's not just like we do some 30-day Whole30 thing and we're fucking hunky-dory, you know? And so I want to be honest with you guys that it does take integrity, that it does take putting 2 feet in, that it does take the willingness to be wrong and knowing that you're going to pick yourself back up and you're going to try different things and you're going to figure out what's right for you. And you know, everything that has led you here has always been for you, not against you. And, you know, when we're looking at things in that space, not only does it free our mind, but it actually regulates our nervous system, right? The permission to be wrong, to be upset, to get it wrong, to be disappointed. Like, it's okay. You're going to survive. No one dies from a broken heart, you know? And so being able and willing to give yourself that grace, if that's something, if that's the space that you're in right now, and that's why you're afraid of, you know, jumping in for a mentor or enrolling in Maven's Metabolism or doing whatever it is that you're doing. Like, that could be a life thing, a relationship thing, whatever it is. Like, understanding that it's okay. You're okay, you're safe. Like, a phrase that I use a lot, especially in the Comfy Couch bundle we have, is like, I'm safe. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. And like, you guys can try that on and really put that into place, because the sooner you feel safe in your body, the faster she will heal. But if you're constantly at war with her, feeling afraid of her, like you have to manipulate her, like you have to starve her, like you have to cut things out and start to, hey Natalie, and you have to cut pieces of you away to get to where you want to be and do these extreme things. Like, even saying that, I can feel my body tense up. You know, it's this stress that we put on our body, and this is why we cannot heal, right? So if you feel like you've been stuck in this hamster wheel, I invite you to dive a little bit deeper and to look at, okay, so what have I actually been doing, and has that made me feel safe? You know, and like, ask yourself the deeper question of like, if my body was healed, in this vision I have for who I want to become and all these kind of things, am I actually acting in alignment for that? Am I aligning with the people I want to be aligned with, surrounding myself with, getting into the arenas with, investing in the programs, investing in the coaching, investing in the mentorship? Like, am I really doing these things, or am I still trying to play it safe because I'm afraid of being disappointed? And maybe is that the thing that's keeping me stuck in this fight or flight state? And so I know we kind of went on a big loop there from trauma-informed nutrition to self-leadership, but they kind of go hand in hand, right? They're my things that in this industry, what I really want to change this year is this conversation where it's not about cutting parts away from you. It's really talking to your power, talking to your leadership, and helping you know that you are safe. You always have been. It's just been this mask of information that has been misguided and misinformed and not well executed in science, may I say, so that you can start to find your freedom and ultimately show up in this bold, brave, healed version. You know, the world is limitless when we know and feel as if our body belongs to us. But the world will feel like a battlefield if we always feel like we're fighting her, or we're doing something wrong, or we're eating the wrong thing, or she looks a certain way, or she's acting a certain way. That takes up so much of our presence and of our mind. And so I invite you to kind of pay attention to that today, right? Like where, when it comes to food, or where when you're going out to eat, or even just like sitting, like when you're in your body and you're doing something, like do you actually feel safe in it? Do you feel calm? Do you feel like she's working with you, or do you feel like she's working against you? You can notice at your meal times, you know, like what's the environment like? Are you eating quickly? Are you thinking about the food kind of triggering you? Are you worried what you're going to eat next? Are you worried, all these thoughts that come in, just like bring awareness to it. And then see if you can pause in that. And that will help. And I know that sounds woo-woo-y, but it is science, baby girl. Like it is the gut-brain connection. It is the vagus nerve. Like I said, go search polyvagal theory. It is neuroscience. It is neuroinflammation. It is all the things. And so this is just a tiny little sliver of what we're doing inside of Maven's metabolism. It is healing IBS and digestive issues and chronic pain so that you can ultimately have body liberation, so you can show up as your full self, so you can have this freedom, so you can have this natural energy, so you can know what your body needs. No more guessing. I'm going to literally walk you through day by day. Like we're going to start with, I have some of the PDFs and things here. We're going to start with, talking about your mindset and the foundations around that. And then we're going to start talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, so you know what to do every day. I'm going to walk you through what I do, what my clients do, and how this ultimately can heal the body, because consistency is key here. Knowledge is key. Like the pillars of our business is SHE, so SHE, self-knowledge, healing, embodiment. And when you know what your body needs day to day, there's so much freedom for you to figure out who you are, right? You're not guessing. You're not absorbed in this what's right, what's wrong kind of mentality. Like you just know, and no one can take that away from you. And so if you're interested in joining, that starts March 1st. So if you want to join, all you have to do is DM me and I can send you the link to come hang out with us. You'll get 2 bonus masterclasses for registering early. If you're on the fence, we can do some voice notes back and forth. No pressure, of course. It's just easy. I know when I invest in certain things, I like to talk to someone. And if you wanted to jump on a discovery 30-minute call to dive into either our masterminds or our one-to-ones, that's also an option there. But know that I love you. Know that this industry is wacko-packo, so I totally get it when it's confusing, and I'm here. I'm in your corner, and if there's anything that you need broken down or explained, I always got your back. It's been 6 years of me studying this stuff, like in school and university and all that kind of stuff, and also living it. So I'm always here to be of support. So I love you. I hope to see you inside of Maven's, and see you on the internet.